What you're about to hear builds toward the most devastating truth about Putin's war, and we'll only uncover it in the final moments. So stay with us until the end. Vladimir Putin has launched what he hopes will be a war-winning summer offensive in Ukraine, a desperate attempt to seize territory, crush morale, and turn the tide in his favor. But across the world, and even inside Russia, experts are calling it a catastrophic miscalculation, one that may not just doom his invasion, but bring his regime crashing down with it. This offensive is one of Russia's largest since the war began. Massive numbers of troops have been deployed along the front, hurling themselves at cities and towns, with a particular focus on strategic locations like Pokrovsk. The Kremlin even celebrated what it claimed was the full capture of Luhansk and major advances in Donetsk, especially around Konstantinovka. Russian troops have penetrated the Dnipropetrovsk region and amassed a force of 50,000 to strike Sumy. At first glance, it seems like progress. But this campaign isn't just being fought on the ground. Russia has unleashed a staggering number of aerial attacks, with drone strikes in June and July up by over 500%. More than 5,000 drones hit Ukraine in June alone, mostly Iranian-made Shaheds, but also decoys and kamikaze variants designed to exhaust Ukraine's air defenses. Russia is producing thousands of new drones each month, and experts warn that strikes involving 1,000 to 2,000 drones at once may be imminent before the year ends. However, even as the scale of Russia's assault grows, its gains are minimal. Ukraine's defenses, bolstered by Western aid, have limited Russian advances to just a few square miles per day. In fact, data shows that Russia gains an average of just 0.01 square miles for every dead soldier, a rate so slow it could take up to 90 years to capture the entire country. Even if Putin's goal is limited to the four key regions, Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia, full conquest wouldn't be feasible until at least 2029. Meanwhile, Russia is bleeding. Estimates put its total casualties near 1.3 million, with around 350,000 soldiers killed. Over 30,000 of those deaths occurred just since the offensive began in early May, a staggering cost for such modest territorial gains. Despite this, Putin presses on. His aim is to project strength to overwhelm Ukraine with the full might of the Russian military. But in reality, this looks less like dominance and more like desperation. He's playing his final card because his time is running out. Physically, Putin is aging, approaching 73, and rumors of illness swirl. Ukrainian President Zelensky even claimed that Putin will die soon. That's a fact. But even more critical than his age is his dwindling grip on power. Each week without victory weakens his standing. When the war began, Putin imagined a blitzkrieg, a quick victory, a triumphant march into Kyiv. Instead, he got a war of attrition, a broken economy, and hundreds of thousands of grieving Russian families. The longer it drags on, the more Russians lose faith. Public dissent simmers beneath the surface. Many won't speak out for fear of punishment, but frustration is mounting, not only among ordinary citizens, but also among the oligarchs who once formed Putin's power base. They didn't back him to lose money in endless war. Their patience is wearing thin. And then there's the world stage. Former US President Donald Trump has re-entered the spotlight, unveiling a major NATO-funded aid package for Ukraine, including vital Patriot air defense systems. He's issued a 50-day ultimatum to Putin: end the war or face punishing tariffs, not just against Russia, but also any country that does business with it. If enforced, those sanctions could annihilate Russia's already fragile economy, further eroding Putin's domestic support. At the same time, Ukraine continues to dismantle Russia's military capacity. Tanks, aircraft, artillery, thousands of units have been destroyed thanks to Ukrainian firepower and precision strikes like the devastating Operation Spiderweb. The Russian military is now so strained that troops are being sent into battle on motorcycles and quad bikes. Ancient Soviet tanks, up to 50 years old, are being dragged out of storage to replace losses. Daily drone and missile losses, each worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, are stacking up. Russia's war machine is hemorrhaging resources with little to show for it. The offensive that was supposed to turn the tide has become a quagmire of failure. Captured Russian officers have confirmed that the Kremlin labeled this summer push as the last chance to break Ukraine. And while Ukraine's army holds strong, Russian forces collapse under the weight of poor leadership, weak morale, and outdated tactics. Even hardline Russian nationalists are turning against Putin. Igor Girkin, a former FSB officer and a key figure in the annexation of Crimea, publicly declared that Russia has no chance of winning. He was arrested shortly after. Another nationalist, Maxim Kalashnikov, founder of the Club of Angry Patriots, stated bluntly that Russia cannot win and a truce is the only way forward. He even suggested the war might end near the North Caucasus, far from any Ukrainian battleground, because there simply aren't enough troops left to fight. These aren't Western talking points. They're the words of Putin's own supporters, now disillusioned. They see what is becoming obvious to all: the war is lost. Putin is no longer the iron-fisted hero many believed in. He's a cornered leader gambling everything in one last doomed effort. His army is collapsing. His economy is faltering. His allies are growing restless. The Russian people are grieving, angry, and increasingly unafraid to question their president. And the clock is ticking. In trying to crush Ukraine, Putin may have only succeeded in dooming himself. His final offensive is not a march to victory. It's the first step toward total collapse. Now, if you want to dive deeper into how this collapse might unfold, check out our detailed analysis of Putin's unraveling strategy, or learn how even former Russian prime ministers are predicting his downfall. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest frontline developments and breaking insights.